featured presenter is back at DreamBank. He's a business coach to the stars. I love that. And at Draw-In Customers Business Coaching. He's also an author, and I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit about some of the books that he's written recently. He helps business owners with creative solutions to common small business problems. He's been featured locally in Business Magazine and DreamBank and beyond through a number of national media channels. One thing you might not know about our presenter is he just released his second book, The Bold Business Book. Yeah, not an easy feat, so we gotta give it up to you for that. So today he's going to share how to feel vibrant at 2 p.m. So give a warm DreamBank welcome to James Gateman.
How are you guys doing today? So we got a small crowd, but that's okay because we can have more fun that way, right?
Yeah.
More intense. Yeah. So I want to ask you a really quick question here. How many of you guys had coffee this morning? That's okay. That's perfect. How many of you guys would normally drink coffee at 2 p.m. or right around in the afternoon? All right, that's okay. That's okay. So we're going to help you to not need that. It's okay if you want it. That's cool. I'm not here to change anybody's habits in that regard, but we're going to help you guys figure out a way to get jazzed so you can get more stuff done. Has anybody ever felt depressed and felt that they could get more stuff done when they felt depressed? Just like, oh, I can't wait to take on the day. Ugh. So I'm going to tell you guys a few stories. We're going to have a little bit of fun, and this hour is going to go faster than you ever thought it could. And you'll probably say like, oh, that was really neat as you walk out the door. But right around 2 p.m. today, you're going to have a skip in your step that you didn't realize that you could have. So that's the neat thing about this thing, right? And if you want, you can probably come back here and imagine based on the title of this, there will be a few people that will be here ready for the speech to happen. So we apologize to them.
That's especially because book club is starting today at 2.
Yeah, well, there you go. All right. So my name is James Gateman. I'm a business coach with Draw-In Customers. All you need to know is this is going to be the best hour that you're going to spend today. Cool? All right. Let's see if I can work this thing. So are you guys on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, so it's smarter. Okay. So I'm on Facebook, and I was killing some time on Facebook, and one of my follower people, or I guess people that I follow, was talking. You know the license plates in Wisconsin, they now have 7 digits, right? And they started out with AAA, right? Because that's the alphabet, and then they just move on from there, right? So you've seen those on the highway? So this woman comes on there, and she's like, oh my goodness gracious, I saw a sign today. I was driving down the Beltline, and I saw so many license plates that said AA or AAA, and I felt like that was a sign from heaven. Because angels start with A. And they're just all around me, all these angels. And my first thought was, you crazy lady. You just came out with a new license plate. This is no sign, this is just reality, right? But then I thought to myself, optimist versus realist, right? And then I thought, who's having a better day? I'm just looking at license plates saying like, oh, that's a neat little license plate. They got 7 digits now. Great, fantastic, move on with my life. She's looking around and she's seeing just angels all around her, right? And for me, I was like, crazy lady, but to her, she was having a magnificent day. And what did it take for her to have a magnificent day? License plates. End of story, right? That was bizarre. But then I was like, oh, if that's all it really took to make her happy, was she doing anything wrong? She wasn't doing anything wrong, right?
Not hurting anybody.
Wasn't hurting anybody. So, and she was essentially choosing to feel that way, right? I'm sure someone like me came up and said, hey, crazy lady, those are just little license plates. Pretty soon you're going to see a bunch of bees. And hopefully your world didn't shatter, right? But anyways, my point is that you can control what you can control, right? So this is my rule. I have this rule with my receptionist. I have a business where we answer phones for small business. It's called Calls on Call. So we have receptionists, and every once in a while, if you've ever had a business with employees or worked with other people, sometimes they come to you with problems that you know that they can solve. And just like, hey man, the rule is control what you can control. So whether that's controlling how you feel, what you do, how you react, you just control what you can control. Does that make sense? All right. So we're going to go through a few ways on how you can control your energy. So I asked, does that mean that you drink more coffee? Or sit down a Red Bull or whatever they have. Sometimes they have those little purple bottles on it, 5-hour energy or something like that. Or do you just eat more sugar, right? I'm going to pound a bunch of cookies because that'll get me all jazzed, right? But that's, realistically, I mean, that's controlling something, but then you're putting it on the outside force, right? I'm going to drink this coffee or this soda so that I feel caffeinated. And you ever have those people that you talk to in the morning, they're like, oh, don't talk to me until I have my coffee, right? They make posters about it with Garfield and all that stuff.
Or my boss who says I drink coffee for your benefit.
Yeah, So what would happen if the coffee machine would break at your boss? Or there's some strike in Guatemala or wherever they have, Ecuador, I don't know, wherever coffee comes from. Or just coffee is no longer available. Would like the world stop? Would people just be like, well, I guess I can't get out of bed today, I can't move on with my life?
Or she would still show up and she'd be her crappy self.
She would. But essentially that's a choice, right? She can choose. So I'm going to show you that you have more control, and she has more control, than you believe that you can initially, or that we're taught. I think of people like, I have this building, here, right? I have this building that I work at, and outside are these smokers, right? And I don't know who they work for, but apparently they must pay them to smoke them out. Because every time I come out, it's the same 3 or 4 people hating their lives, smoking their cigarettes, complaining about the world, right? And I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And what do you think they normally say? Nah, exactly, right? You think they're like, fantastic. No. I just swear to God, you could see a body right down there that one of them killed themselves and would be like, oh, I'm surprised that happened. They're so down all the time, it's weird. And I thought, well, why are you guys coming out here to smoke, right? Is it just to kind of reinforce that, oh, you're depressed, so I can be depressed, we can be depressed together, right? And especially, you know what happens on Monday morning when I see them? Holy cow, and this is weird, it's like 8 a.m. Like you're already having a cigarette before you've even gotten to work. And they're just down. And I feel bad, because I know that they would be more energized and get more done. I'm sure their boss would be more happy if they had more energy. And regardless if they smoke or not, I don't care about that. It's the being mildly depressed. And you ever talk to someone that's mildly depressed like that, and then you feel a little bit down? They almost take you down to their level. But interesting thing, what if you're higher up? Can you bring people up as well?
I get really irritated.
Sometimes, to a point, right? To a point. A lot of people throw stuff at me, that's okay. So my point here in saying is, you, on top of coming here for this presentation to help yourself, you can also help people around you. You guys know what Richard Simmons is? Can you imagine being in the room with Richard Simmons and being sad? Like, you just couldn't. You would want to so badly, but you just couldn't. Like, here's this guy bouncing off the walls. I just can't, right? It's like doing jumping jacks and crying. You just can't do it, right? So, we're going to get through all this. So I said no to that. We want to build energy without destroying our bodies. So I'm not going to get into the whole health food stuff and all that jazz, but coffee and all that kind of stuff that can change the innards of your body. Caffeine, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, energy drinks and all that kind of stuff. That can hurt you internally if you maintain a habit of that, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to find a way to build up energy in our bodies without hurting our bodies. Does that make sense? You guys up for that? Cool. All right. So we're going to learn how to do that now. So I'm going to concentrate on these 3 things. Your focus, your physiology, and your language. So basic stuff, right? So we're going to start with, I should tell you a few ground rules here. First of all, we got a small group, right? You guys cool with each other?
Yep.
All right, does anybody live next door to each other or hate each other? Nobody? Okay, so it's like checking for a jury here or something. So one, I'm going to say there's no limits. When I say there's no limits, I mean sometimes I'm going to ask you to do some exercises, and people are going to be like, I don't want to do some exercises because people are watching, you get embarrassed. Does anybody care what other people are doing?
No.
When you walk down the street, do you care?
No.
Generally speaking, you're so concerned with yourself that you really don't care about other people, and other people probably don't care about you. Safe to say?
15 minutes from now, they won't remember.
Correct. In fact, you ever take a picture of, let's say, the Capitol, right? Oh, it's so pretty, right? You take a picture, and then you look at that picture a couple days later, you're like, I don't remember these people being there. I don't even remember the tree, right? You're so oblivious that you're focusing on one specific thing, right? We're going to take a picture of the Capitol. So it's a beautiful thing. Then, we got to have fun, because if we're not going to have fun, it's going to be very hard to have some energy. Is that safe to say? And I'm not really one to get mildly sad and depressed and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'd be a terrible presenter on this subject if I was. So we're just going to have some fun. Cool? So it's okay to laugh. The third one, and Renee, you know all about this, right? Is no excuses. So this goes in this presentation, this goes beyond this presentation, this goes at 2 p.m. when you guys are feeling all energized. And you're like, you know what, I'm feeling so vibrant, I should really do this. And whatever this is, I want you to do it. Because part of your subconscious mind is going to be like, wait. Dial it back here a little bit. You are normally just hokey at 2 p.m. So normally, you would do this. And you're like, wait, I'm feeling jazzed. I'm going to do this. And your body's going to try to come up with excuses. Wait, it's cloudy outside. Or wait, didn't whatever team win or lose? Or wait, I just saw a squirrel go by. Or you'll just make up excuses, right? You gotta have that no excuses to just push through that, right? So your energy and your vibrancy is gonna take that excuse, it's gonna kick it in the ass, out the door, you're gonna move on with your life and have some fun. Is that cool? How much more stuff do you think you can do positive in your life if you had energy all day? A lot. So we're gonna do that. Then you're gonna own your results. Own your results means that once you do all your stuff, you're gonna get some results from that. Some of those results are gonna be good, most of them are, and every once in a while, even though you're super positive and you do all this vibrant stuff, some bad things are gonna happen, right? There's gonna be some bad results. I can tell you I own a couple businesses, and bad results are just a part of it, right? You lose a client, or a client doesn't pay you, or just insert problem here, right? Economy goes down, your rent goes up, whatever, right? So the point is, you do everything that you can, control what you can control, and then based on those results, you tweak as needed. Generally speaking, when you tweak as needed, that does not mean, well, I guess I should be more depressed, because that won't do me any good. It's going back into the hole that you want to come out of. Finally, this is a safe place. So I'm going to ask you guys to take some actions, you're going to write some stuff down, and since you guys are all cool and comfortable with each other, that you don't have to worry about each other judging you or anything like that, right? We're all cool, so this is a safe place. So be comfortable with that and enjoy the process. Cool? Alright, so first one we're going to talk about is focus. The rule is where focus goes, energy flows. So remember when I was having you take a picture of the Capitol, and you're focusing on the Capitol? You weren't concentrating on the trees or the other people around. Your focus was on the Capitol. So let's just say that you're focusing on the Capitol with your camera, and there was, let's say, a dancing bear that walked by, right? If you're focusing intensely on the Capitol, you wouldn't even notice the dancing bear, right? You guys have seen the video with the gorilla and the basketball and all that kind of stuff, right? It proved it. So our mentality, our mental focus, we delete or we just ignore so much stuff, insane amount of stuff, which means it's a survival mechanism, right? We can focus. Anybody ever drive on the Beltline? You ever drive on the Beltline for a few exits and you're like, what happened in the last 10 minutes? You were thinking about something like, oh, how am I going to do this? Or how should I have this conversation with someone? How should I do this presentation? And you're like, oh, Whitney Way, I was supposed to exit at Southtown. Huh. Right? You're just so focused on something else besides driving. And luckily, your subconscious mind was driving for you. And presumably, it did a good job. There's no harm to you. You didn't roll your car or anything. So it was doing its job, right? But you were focusing on something else. And if someone said, hey, how many red cars did you pass? How many cars did you pass? No idea. Did you stay in your lane? Hope so. Right, so focus. So, interesting thing is, you get to control what you focus on. Does that make sense? So a lot of people, they'll just like, hey man, I'm just, the way the day takes me, is the way the day takes me, without any focus. So that means that their subconscious mind is controlling where they go. Their subconscious mind is going to use all their rules and their experiences to figure out what they should focus on in more of a survival aspect rather than a growth aspect. Does that make sense? So you can choose what you focus on. If you want to choose to focus on growing your business, writing a book, designing something, improving a relationship, whatever it is, you get to decide what you focus on. And when you focus on something that you are excited about, how do you think that helps your energy? Or do you think that helps your energy? Absolutely, right? Mm-hmm. So, the question that brings up is, can we control our focus? Yes is the answer. But there's a better question. What if we could control our focus? And an even better question is, how can we control our focus? So, the answer that I tell people is you have more control than you realize, right? How many of you have met people that just hate Mondays, right? That just hate them. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural, like, you are not an American unless you hate Mondays. We're just designed to, right? As a society, we come around saying, I love Mondays, right? I'm excited to go to work. People are like, what the hell is wrong with you? That's not right at all, right? And my response is, what the hell is wrong with you? You started your own business, you chose a job, whatever you work. Like, why would you not choose a job that you enjoy? This is presuming that you go to work on Mondays and get done with it on Friday, right? So Sunday nights, I'm excited because that means that Monday morning is right around the corner and I get to have fun and enjoy my business, right? Which is fantastic. Smokers in the corner that apparently hate their jobs, right? They could probably learn something from that. Or maybe they're happy being depressed. There's some people that like that and get some significance out of it. Fair to say, right? But presumably, they would do a little bit better if they knew that they could control all that. So, what I tell people is you have complete control over what you focus on. Complete. A lot of people tell me, now let me ask you, has anyone ever made you mad? Yes, totally, right? And what did they do? What did they do to make you mad? Did they yell? Did they kick you in the shin? Did they crash your car? Did they cut you off in traffic while you were dazing? Right? There's all kinds of things that people can do, right? But it would be interesting to consider that you can control your reaction. What if you decided that you were not going to get angry at that? Or what if decided that instead of angry, you're just going to be frustrated, or annoyed, or concerned, or maybe aware, but does it really matter? I can tell you I sold a business a few years ago, and I was talking to these guys that I sold the business to, and we're talking numbers and stuff like this, and they're like, oh, if you want to go over the paperwork, you can. And it came to a point where it was a little bit of frustrating what they were telling me about the numbers. And I, normally, probably, let's call it 7 years ago, I would have been on the verge of wanting to throw a chair at them.
Sure.
So you're just so intense in business, right? But then I came to realize over time, does that really help? Is it going to make anything better? So I didn't even want to look over the numbers. I'm like, would looking at this data make it better? Would anything improve? And they're like, no. So why would I take the time to do that, right? So sometimes when I say you have complete control, is if things like traffic frustrate you, change your schedule so that you're not in traffic, right? It seems simple. Every morning you get stuck in the Beltline, you're like, hate traffic, right? Well, what if you left either 15 minutes before or 15 minutes later and just stuck around? I've got a buddy that has a business. He doesn't get in the office till 10 a.m., and he doesn't leave until, I think, 6 or 7 p.m. He just sails in. He's telling me about how long it takes to get into town. I'm like, whoa! You save like 15 minutes a day each direction.
Well, not only the time, how you're
Intensity,
taking that time.
right? Intensity, what it's doing to your emotions.
Yeah.
So he's controlling what he can control. So I tell you guys, you also often live in a dreamlike state, right? This trance. When somebody's talking to you, I tell you a story like, hey man, remember when, and I talk about I was biking on this road. And you guys think like, oh, you got a bike picture, you got a road picture. And I didn't say anything to detail the road or the bike, but you guys already have that image, right? What kind of bike is it? What kind of road? Are there trees around the road? And the interesting thing is you can do that with other people to help them bring it up. You can build it up into a trance-like state to help them improve. But we got to be aware that we often live in a dreamlike state, right? We're focusing on something and we're not aware of the other stuff going on around us. So my whole point in that is you can control what you focus on so that you're in a dreamlike state with stuff that you want to be in a dreamlike state with. That is not to say be blissfully unaware of what's going on around you. You don't have to roll in a car, you don't want to do that. I'm saying control what you can control. Control what you focus on and be aware of what's going on and what you choose to focus on. We're going to do a little exercise. You guys ready?
Are you ready?
Not like jumping jacks here. Alright. My point is, I want you guys not to think of blue. So whatever you do, do not think of blue. I want you to take the color blue and not think of it. Okay? Avoid thinking of the color blue, whatever you do. So don't think of the color blue. You can think of any other color but blue. Did you guys think of blue? It's tough not to, right? It's tough not to.
Well, the funny part, of course, is I get what you're doing with this, right? So I love as blue comes in, I'm like, just let it go out again,
Yeah,
too.
don't think of it. It should be constantly in your mind, right?
Yeah.
So if someone, you ever pass a billboard on the Beltline that you chose not to read, you can't not read them. It's automatic, right? They got you. That's why billboards are everywhere. I went to Indiana to go see my sister-in-law. Holy cow, I don't even think I saw trees. It's just billboard, 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 billboard. And you couldn't help but notice them because your mind is just, it's there, right? It's looking. So like I had to intensely focus on like, don't look at these crazy billboards. Because what they had was this weird looking clown. It was just creepy looking, selling fireworks. And I swear to God, they had 200 billboards. Like every 20 feet.
Yes.
That was this creepy clown. It freaked the hell out of me. But I had to intensely focus on not looking at the billboards. It was bizarre. So concentrate on the road, which you shouldn't have to tell yourself that. Anyways. So I say, what if you can control other people's focus, right? What if you could tell them, don't think of the color blue? Or things of that nature, to help build them up. If you have, any of you guys manage employees? Or deal with customers, let's say? Or deal with family members, spouses, friends, siblings that are a huge pain in the ass, right? I have a sister that lives in Florida, and she is depressed all the time. I'm sorry, not Florida, Hawaii. I'm like, how can you be depressed in Hawaii? She sent me this picture. It was a beautiful picture. She had a little coffee mug, and it was the ocean, and there was a little cruise liner in the background, palm trees, and a beautiful sandy beach. And I took a picture outside my office window, and it was snow-covered parking lot. And I said, you win. And then she just went on this huge tirade about how life is terrible. I was like, what is wrong with you, right? You're focusing on the wrong stuff. People don't go on vacation to my office. They go on vacation to the beach. And I don't have people lined up being like, I'd love to see this snow-covered parking lot. That would be great, being cooped up in this 10 by 10 office. Fantastic, right? Let's sign up. Right? We'll get holiday cruises coming in. No, they don't do that. They go to the beach and have a coffee and look out at the ocean. That's magnificent. And she's the one that's going on this tirade. So I'm like, okay, this is a focus issue, right? This is not where you are problem, right? She's moved like every few years chasing happiness. When deep down inside, you make your own happiness, right? You think it, Nelson Mandela, right? He had a rough life, rough time in prison, stuff like that, but he did something with it, and now he's doing great things, right? Fantastic. But there's other people that just don't, right? You're in Hawaii. You're in Hawaii. It's so weird, like I wanted to go see her, so bad, she's my sister, and it's an excuse to go to Hawaii. But I didn't want to be depressed.
Tell her you'll just try it.
Oh, so I was like, could I just
in
go?
your office.
Could I go for 5 days and just tell her I'm there for a day? So I think I'll go enjoy Hawaii and then listen to her babble on, you know? Maybe. Second one, we're going to talk about physiology. This is the fun one because this is easy to do, right? Focus, you got to deal with your mind and think about stuff and all that jazz. Physiology is super easy. That's why Richard Simmons is so happy. Alright, the rule here is that emotion follows motion. So any of you guys ever run Ironman or a decathlon or even a 5K, going to walk out in the woods, go for a hike? Stair stepper? At the end of the stair stepper, are you sad? No. Right? You might be sore, right? That's safe to say, right? I imagine people after Ironman, they're probably sore, right? Or a marathon or something like that. Even some people with the stair stepper, sore. Totally understand.
For the next day. Because that,
Perfect,
right
yep.
then, at the end, you might not be.
Right? You got your,
high on everything.
yeah, you got your hormones rolling, you're doing all well. But you're not sad, you're not depressed. Because your body likes to move. I got a friend whose wife, I feel bad for her because he's married to her, but she is just depressed and she's bedridden, not from an illness, but just because she doesn't want to go see the world. And what do you think that does to her? It just brings her down, right? She's not moving. The only person she sees is my buddy, which he's cool, but he's not that cool. So it's just like, this is the only person you see. You only see him for a couple hours a day, and outside of that, she's just playing her video games or something like this, just bedridden. And that blows my mind. I can't imagine it. I swear to God, my legs would be cut off. I'm still like, I'm going somewhere. I don't care where, right? Somewhere. I gotta get out of here. You guys ever get that, especially in the winter time? I don't care if it's 30 below, we gotta go somewhere. Just get out of the house, right? So movement will help you with that. So I say, as you move, so you feel. Which is to say, if I asked every single one of you to feel depressed and just, maybe not feel depressed, but just move in a way that you would be depressed or sit in a way, right? You could slouch, you could drop your shoulders down, you could lean your head down. And with just a movement, you could bring yourself down. And then if I said counter to that, what if you felt excited? Like you're at a concert and they're just about to play Freebird or something like that. There's just this huge intensity. You could bring it out, right? And with this movement, or with the way that you're sitting, you can control how you feel. Without having to actually change the emotion, you change your movement, and your feelings, your emotion will follow that. And that's pretty cool, right? Control what you can control. So then the question is, can I make myself feel better by movement? Of course. Better question is, how can I make myself feel better by movement? Did you see the difference there? Can I versus how can I? We'll get to this in a little bit. So what are some things that you can do? And then what movements can I do to make myself feel, fill the blank? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel energetic? Do you want to feel sad? Do you want to feel angry? You just choose the emotion that you want, and you can move yourself or move your body in a way that would make you feel that way. Is that safe to say? So for example, how do you think people move right before they run the Ironman? I think they're just sitting back all slouched. Oh my gosh. That's running Iron Man, right? Or are they getting jazzed, pumped? You ever see, like I like to watch fighting, boxing, UFC and stuff like that? Are they just slouched? Or they're jazzed, right? You see people through a race of any kind, they're getting their body moving. They're not slouched and depressed. So the same thing goes with if you have to do a presentation. If you have to ask someone, like you have to ask your boss for a raise, are you going to sit there depressed before you go ask them? You want to get jazzed, right? And there's easy ways to do that. Without having to go psycho crazy, you can just do little movements, the ways that you stand. Does that make sense? So, terrible question I put in here is what movements can I do to make myself feel depressed, right? Generally speaking, you're not going to want to go there, right?
No, but it's actually good to know so that if I find myself, because
Completely.
part of it I have a reception job, right? So I'm supposed to sit there and do nothing
Mhm.
a lot of the time.
Mhm.
But then be on, but not too much,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So yeah, how do I, and I actually do this on purpose so that I don't, so I can stay in that range that they can tolerate.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to do an exercise in a little bit that'll help you with that. What movements can I do to make myself feel energized? Every once in a while you're going to have that day. Let's say at 2 p.m. And normally you're just like, you just got off the phone with a client that's not ideal. Or a potential client that's not ideal. Or maybe a vendor that dropped the ball somewhere. Or maybe an employee that dropped the ball somewhere. You just felt like you got kicked in the shin, or hit by a truck, hit by a bus. People have all these analogies and metaphors for how they feel. Like, did you really get hit by a bus? You didn't really get hit by a bus, right? Where you got to figure out a way to get energized, right? That is not to say that you cannot hang out and be a little sad and depressed even. Just understand, okay, this is an emotion. What purpose is it going to serve me? And will it serve the purpose long term if I maintain an emotion? I got a 3-year-old son. My 3-year-old son cries about the craziest things, right? 3-year-olds do that, right? So he got an ice cream cone from Grandma. We just went to see Grandma this weekend. And he was crying because he didn't have chocolate chips in the ice cream, right? Because the last time that he got ice cream, there was chocolate chips in it. Grandma only had vanilla. And so I got a picture of him, he goes, ooh. You're having an ice cream, you can't cry when you have an ice cream cone. Then I'm like, will crying make it better? Right? Like if you cry more intensely, will chocolate chips just magically fall from the sky? Maybe, to some point of magic, but I haven't seen the kid do that, something that intense, right? But generally speaking, crying, being depressed, it's not going to help anything. Chocolate chips will not fall from the sky. And realistically, you could just not have an ice cream cone, right? You got an ice cream cone. There's literally nothing to be depressed about here. There's nothing to be sad about here. If you took your life 5 minutes before, it was good, and the ice cream cone kind of made it better, right? Presuming you're not lactose intolerant or something like that. So, like, it's kind of funny.
I love that you bring that example up specifically because we actually get training because sometimes crying does make chocolate chips fall from the sky.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Right. Because this is what my kids learned at Dad's house. No, literally, right? Like they would ask for something, Dad would say no. They would cry, have a tantrum, whatever, then they get it.
Ah, sure.
But then it was a little confusing for them at first because they tried that at my house and of course that doesn't happen.
Right? No,
So
no
it's like-
chocolate chips from the sky.
Yeah. You could have had chocolate chips if you asked, but since you're throwing a tantrum, no.
Right? That's right. So here we're going to do another exercise here. I need 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 high fives in 5 seconds, right?
Let's get closer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
I was gonna say, look at us, we're trying to look at them.
All right, look at that. All right, now we're going to do it again, but I want you guys to do it while you're frowning. 1, 2, 3.
I can't frown. I can't frown.
It's tough. It's tough. All right, how many of you guys like that better? All right, now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it while laughing. All right. Now we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it while slouching.
That we can't
It's
get
tough to go, tough to go. Oh my gosh, we're like little zombies here. All right, now we're going to do it again. We're going to do it while smiling.
way easier.
I know, way easier. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Nothing to it. Ah, now you guys are like, my hand hurts. It's stressing. So much high fiving. So did you see, right? The whole point of this exercise is one, it's very tough to slouch and frown when you're high-fiving. Like, who's sad when they high-five, right? But also, you can change the intensity of something, right? I mean, you didn't even get out of your seats, right, when you're slouching inside. You're like, no, you guys come to me. You guys come to me. I'm not doing anything, right? So you guys ever, I'm using traffic a lot, I guess, today. But you guys ever, you're cruising on the highway, and there's an on-ramp, right? And the person's coming here, and you're timing it with you, right? And you're just like, I'm not going to do it. You could get on the gas, because there's wide open space in front of me. I'm not moving over. You need to do it, right? It's up to you. When realistically, you can just move over and move on with your life, right? And they're probably thinking, what is this ass clown doing, right? Get over it. You got all the space in the world. You're going to cause an accident just because you're too stubborn, right? And we've all been both people, right? Oh, some days you just have a bad day, and I'm like, I am in this lane. I own this lane, and this is me, right? Cruise control set. I'm not adjusting the thing. You deal with me.
Cars adjust their own cruise control nowadays.
But not for an on-ramp, right?
Yeah,
Not
they
sideways?
do. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
If
interesting.
somebody comes in front of you, it is set to be so many car lengths back that your car will actually,
What if they come sideways, though? Because they're not going to move, and you're not going to move,
well,
right?
then you're hitting each other.
Then you got a problem, right? So, what we're going to do is something a little bit more personal. This is going to be something you don't have to talk about it out loud, but I want you guys to think of a time that you felt gifted. Like there was something, the stars just aligned, the world and everything just came together, and you got something that was just magical. A time when you felt gifted. I want you to feel that. You guys think of that time? Alright. Now, I just want you to figure out on a scale of 1 to 5, just where would you put that specific scenario? Just write it down, think of it, doesn't matter, right? And it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 4 or 5, right? You felt gifted, you felt really, really good, right? Now, I want you to think of the time, and I want you to snap your fingers. While you're thinking of that time. I want you to just bring about the memory of that time, and what were you doing, who was there, how did you feel? I want you to just think of that, and as you picture that in your mind, I want you to make the colors of that even more vibrant. I want you to make the picture of that time that you felt gifted there bigger. I want the sound to be even more intense. And I want you to snap your fingers in the rhythm as you feel the sound. Maybe it's people walking by, maybe it's cars driving by, maybe there's some music in the background, and you're just feeling this, right? Now, I want you to just hold, stop snapping your fingers for a moment. Now, I want you to feel, can I move that up to level 6? And now snap your fingers again. I want you to feel even more intense, right? This is super gifted. I'm just, was it luck? Was it coincidence? Was it just that you have mad skills? It was just that, you know what, I'm awesome, so that's all there is to it, right? There's so many times that you're gifted that you're like, oh, I'm thinking about it. Which one should I choose? There's so many, right? I want you to snap your fingers while you're thinking about it. And then I want you to take it up another level. We're going to go to, let's say, should we go crazy? Let's go to 9. Should we go to 9? We thought 5 was as intense as we could possibly get while we were gifted. But now we're like, you know what? How high does this gauge go? Well, level 9, we're feeling it. We're bringing it even more intense, more vibrant colors, louder, clearer sounds, and you can feel it, right? As you're snapping your fingers, you got a rhythm going. Now, I want you to do that really quick. I want 5 high fives in 5 seconds while you're smiling. And then in between, I want you to snap your fingers. Boom, boom. There we go. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Now, how did that make you guys feel? Now, the interesting thing is, at 2 p.m. today, you're going to find yourself snapping your fingers, and you're not going to realize why. In fact, my wife likes to call this a drinking game. Because every once in a while when I need to feel jazzed or something like that, I'll snap my fingers, I'll clap, and she'll be like, drink! Because she knows that that's the thing that I do to bring up. And why do I do that? Because snapping your fingers, how long does it really take? It's a moment, right? So anytime that I feel that I'm like, oh, I just need some energy, it's subconscious, it's automatic now. I don't even realize I do it. Sometimes I take videos of myself just to watch, like, how many times did I clap and snap my fingers? It's like, oh, you watch it on fast forward, it looks like I'm in a crowd, just, right? It's crazy. So we do there, we call this is a placement for you, so that every time you snap your fingers, you're going to feel more alive, more energized, and you're going to feel that giftedness, right? And what if you believed that you were gifted all the time? Or more importantly, what if you felt it, or knew that you could feel gifted every time you snapped your fingers? The song I Love Rainy Night's going to come on. You're going to be like, yeah! So my point is that right now you can use snapping your fingers to bring yourself that intensity, just like that. And how long did it take to set that? Minutes, right? And we add that with high-fiving. So you're going to come to your office, you're going to be like, what's up? Boom! Right? And you're going to feel jazzed, just like that. You're going to freak some people in your office out a little bit if you high-five them, right? Because what are they going to be like? I want to stay depressed staring in my cubicle, not talking to any people. But realistically, is that what they really want? Or are they worried about how you'll feel if they high-five you? So now you're just opening the gate saying, hey, this is cool, right? I can go about high-fiving people and it's all good.
What if they don't high-five you back?
Great question. Oh my gosh, I love that question. In fact, high-five for asking that question. My 3-year-old son, right? He's a 3-year-old, so every once in a while he tests, right? That's the thing. Some people don't outgrow that. You could argue everyone. So he'll do something right. Awesome, right? He's on Monkey Mars or something like that. And I'll be like, high five. And he'll be like, nope. And so I'll go, high five myself. And so now it's interesting because he's teaching other people that. And so we have this whole game, right? High five? Nope. High five yourself, right? It's back and forth. So I say, if I ever offer a high five, I don't care if nobody else offers me a high five. I will high five myself, and it's just fine. I don't need the rest of the world to feel better. Don't need it, right? It's cool if they're there, and I'm happy to high five all freaking day, right? But if no one is there, I can't control if they're going to high five. Anytime you go into sales, right? You go to make a sale and they say no, I can't control the yes or the no. I can control the action. I can control the request. I can control the ask. The ask is, you want a high five? Boom! He said yes, great. But he said no, I can high five myself, move along with my life. Cool? That's a beautiful thing about snapping your fingers as well. Yeah. Beautiful thing about snapping your fingers, right? Do you need anybody else around to snap your fingers? You can do it alone. If you were to snap your fingers and just point, would anybody be like, whoa, what are you doing, right? It's something that you can do subtly, easily. You don't have to bring a bunch of attention to yourself. You can even do it quiet, right? And you feel that energy and feel that giftedness in a moment. With just about nothing. It was easy. And what did it cost you? And counter to that, what does it cost you if you don't do it? What are you losing out on, right? Alright, so the next one is language. I love this, or else saying different, right? The rule is that words will define us. That is the whole saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is so not true, especially about the words that you use inside, right? Your inner dialogue, the metaphors that you use, the descriptions that you use for yourself. We're going to go through some exercises that will help you define that. So presuppositions are powerful is the rule. You guys know what presuppositions are? Presupposition is when I ask you a question and it presupposes an answer. For example, I can say, Renee, why are you so awesome? The presupposition there is that you are awesome. So I could also say, someone could ask me, right? They could say, James, why are you so crazy? And the presupposition there is that I am crazy. Does that make sense?
Well, and it's one of those things, right? However you answer the question,
Mm-hmm.
you've already acknowledged that you are crazy.
You set it up, right? So I could, let's say, if I ask the question of myself, why does this always happen to me? Whether it's good or bad, right? Why can't I lose weight? Why do I feel so sad? Right? There's presuppositions there. You can't lose weight, you're always feeling sad. Does that make sense? This is language, these are words. And as long as we're aware of them, we can alter them. So you remember how I had some things that were questions and then better questions? We can introduce presuppositions that will give us a better answer. Does that make sense? Awesome. So our internal questions will make our decisions for us, which means that we get, as long as we are aware and we control our internal questions, we can make better decisions. Does that make sense? So we're going to figure out some defining words. The question is what presuppositions, right? So everybody's got a few questions that they're always asking themselves, right? That they set up. It's from survival, it's from your experience, your education, all this kind of stuff. Think of any stereotype at all. When you ask a question in regards to that stereotype, I don't care what it is. Age, race, color, type of car, city, building, right? It doesn't matter. You have some stereotypes set up in your head, and it's probably because you have some presuppositions in the question that you have. Like my buddy and I are thinking about going to Detroit just for fun to check it out. And the question that he asked was, why is Detroit so crappy? Like that's a huge presupposition, right? Presupposition is that Detroit's crappy. Even though we've never been there, we presuppose that it is. But we're kind of curious, let's find out, right? But we could ask a better question. It could just tweak it, right? Is Detroit crappy? Or what is great about Detroit? Kind of the same question, but you can introduce a presupposition that'll get you a better answer.
Well, and again, you're focused. Detroit is crappy, Detroit is great.
Correct. But it's still a
And
question,
so
right? You will find what you look for. That is exactly true. You will find what you look for. The rule is the whole seek and you shall find thing, and that's based on the question that you ask. For example, if you ask the question, why am I always broke? Your mind will give you an answer. What if you say, how can I make more money? That's a different question. Aimed at all the same thing, but it's going to give you a different answer.
But your mind is still going to give you an answer.
Totally. So, the ironic question, what presuppositions do you use? Presupposes that you're using presuppositions. So, that's just me having fun with this, right? So what presuppositions do you use? So when you think about something, this is not something that you can necessarily, that you'll just be like, oh, these are my main questions that I ask. Just throughout the day and week, as you're going about your life, you'll be thinking like, what question did I just ask myself? And what presupposition was part of that question? And there's going to be times when you're going to discover these questions that this question doesn't serve me. It's actually leading me down a road that I don't want. So you can tweak it. And there's also going to be questions that you're like, that's a beautiful question, right? You can have fun with these questions. And the beautiful thing is everybody has these questions in their head, right? People are always asking themselves questions, right? What does this mean? How can I make this better? You know, why me? Whatever these questions are, but now that you're aware of them, you can control them. Because do you have anybody in your head saying, no, you've got to ask this question? No. You get to decide. Beautiful thing. Decisions and choice. It's magical. So the question brings up is what internal questions do you have, right? Everybody's got a bunch of questions you always ask, right? You probably focus around anywhere from 1 to 3 that you're just constantly asking yourself, right? Maybe the question is, how can I protect myself? Maybe the question is, why are these people all bugging me, right? And just whatever question, right? And you can see just different people doing different things, and you can probably guess what their internal question is. And if they're not aware of it, they're just living their life that way, it's a challenge, right? So that is to say that if you see your life, you know, I know for the past decade, this is the way that I've been living my life, I can probably figure out, or if I really sit and think about it, I can figure out what questions am I constantly ask myself. What presuppositions are there? And then I can say, well, if I want to improve my life, could I change the question? Yes. And could you change the question with a presupposition that improves it automatically? So that regardless of the answer, it'll help you and get you energy and vibrancy? Completely, right? Can you have fun with it? Insane amount of fun. Insane amount of fun. So I said all words have meanings, right? And all actions have meanings. All facts have meanings. But you get to define those meanings. Does that make sense? So for example, let's just say, without getting political here, we'll just say President Trump got elected, right? That's a fact. But that's going to mean different things to different people. Is it safe to say? You could say there was a shooting recently, right? That's a fact. And you could say that means different things to different people. Different people are going to react in different ways. Same fact, different meanings to people, right? And are meanings that people give them, are they right or wrong? You could argue some of the actions they take may be right or wrong, but is the meaning itself right or wrong? An interesting thing is you get to control that meaning. Like, what does this mean to me? What if you just sat and thought, what does this really mean to me? For example, if you have somebody that's getting really intense emotionally, right? And they start yelling at you, right? About whatever. Some people have different perceptions about what that means when somebody yells at them. That can bring your energy up or down, right? Some people like me, I was like, yeah, let's yell, that's fun, right? And other people are like yelling and they're like, no, I want to be the dominant one and yell, ah. And they think that you yelling back is bad. So everybody's got the different perceptions, right? The interesting thing is they can control meaning. You can control meaning. There's a certain set of rules and beliefs in your questions that are helping you define that meaning. Which means that if you can control your rules and beliefs and your questions, that means that you can control the meaning that something has. you can look at it and say like, is this really how I want to feel about this? No. Or, yeah. Or maybe for a little bit, and I'll move on with my life. Right? Whatever it is, you control it. So when I say that you define things, you can define them with words. You can define things like, oh, we're going to do this really quick. 5 by 5s in 5 seconds, I'm spending. Whoa, it's tough to do, 5 seconds is not a lot of time. All right. I just like to break stuff up. Okay. So I say things, I'll get to this in a moment here. I say things like, how about the word love? You think of the word love, what does the word love mean to you? Or for someone to love you, what do they have to do? And is it possible that you love someone and they love you, but their definition of what love means or what you should do to show that you love them are two completely different things? When deep down inside you're like, I love you, but you yell at me all the time, and I hate being yelled at. Or I love you, but I wish you showed more emotion. Does that make sense? So, we're going to go here and I want you to write down 5 words that you would use to describe yourself. We'll just take a couple minutes. You guys got 5 words? No? Okay. You do not. Oh, you get the control, right? Control what you can control. You got the pen and the paper. You want to write 50? Be my guest. Are we doing well? Alright, cool. Okay. So then you don't have to tell me out loud, right? But I just want you to think about why did you pick those 5 words? Right? Something in your experience, or your education, or just what happened today helped you define those 5 words, right? In fact, I bet if you asked, or if you were asked that same question tomorrow or yesterday, maybe the 5 words would be the same, but maybe 1 or 2 of them would be different, right? Just based on some immediate experience. Does that make sense? And then I ask, are you happy with those 5 words? Some people are like me, you could be like, some people call me intense, right? And they say that somewhat negatively, but I'm like, intensity, that's a great, positive thing, right? So to some people, your words are going to be positive, some are going to be positive, some are negative. It's just why did you, or are you happy with the words that you chose? Does that make sense? So then, would you like to change those words? So for example, I used to, I don't know if I would say pride myself, but I was happy that I could get a lot of stuff done in a short amount of time, but generally speaking, that meant that I was late all the time. And late, I mean anywhere from a couple minutes to, let's call it 10, 15 minutes, right? My wife is an uber punctual person, psycho punctual. So for her, when I showed up 5 minutes late, like coming home from work, I thought it's 5 minutes, what's the big deal, right? There's traffic, there's other people, I just had to send one more email, you know, just whatever. For her, 5 minutes was the equivalent of like 3 days. So her perception was that, don't you love me? You're 5 minutes late. And I was like, it's 5 minutes, right? Sometimes it was even 4. It's on the verge of negligible in my world. And I'm like, do you know how much I got done in that 5 minutes? I got like 20 minutes worth of stuff done because I'm like, I'm late, but I gotta get it done. Right? You do super fast, right? So I thought that I was awesome. She thought that I was late and didn't love her. Right? So same fact, different meanings. So now I had to change, I had to adapt a little bit, tweak, I'll call it. Because, you know, I love my wife, I want to stay with her and all that jazz. I want to show her that I love her. One of the ways that she needs to be shown that she's loved is by me showing up on time. Which realistically, everyone wants that, right? Nobody wants to meet someone and be like, oh, I'm glad you're 10 minutes late. I appreciate that. It makes me know that I'm important to you, right? So even though I completely understand the other way, where you're like, you know how much stuff I got done? So much stuff. Does the other person care? No. You wasted my time, man. I had to hang out in this creepy coffee shop for 10 extra minutes. I didn't know if you were showing up. I went through all these emotions, right? Did you get in a car accident? Are you standing me up? How long do I wait around here? Should I call you? Ah! Right? So interesting things. So you want to change those words. Some of those words, would you like to keep? Are you happy that you have? My point in all this is that you get to decide. Interesting thing about people is, you ever talk to someone and they have a habit that they're trying to break, whatever it is, maybe smoking, drinking, being late, whatever it is. And when you ask them to describe themselves, they define themselves as, let's say, I'm always running late, or I'm a smoker, or I'm a insert here. And when you define yourself by that, it's very hard for you to break that because you do not want to make yourself a liar. So for example, if I tell myself that I'm a smoker, would I be a smoker if I didn't go to the gas station to buy cigarettes? You gotta buy cigarettes if you're a smoker, right? And do I gotta light up a cigarette if I'm a smoker? Totally gotta do that. If I was trying to quit, but I still labeled myself as a smoker, would I get anywhere? I don't want to make myself a liar. So the best way to change something, if you want to change something like that, is to change the words and the rules that you give yourself. So instead of you calling yourself a smoker, say, I used to smoke. I quit 2 hours ago. Right? So then if you say, like, I used to smoke, and you tell people I used to smoke, does the person that used to smoke go to the gas station to buy cigarettes? No, you used to. Does the person that used to smoke light up a cigarette? Does the person that used to smoke stop and say, just one drink? Probably not if you define yourself truly that way. Does that make sense? So the same thing with any other habit that you want to get rid of. You set up how you want to define yourself and how you want to improve yourself, and you set up that definition, and then you follow that definition. I used to tell people, I guess I used to, I still do. You know, people have those bracelets that say, what would Jesus do, right? I say you wear bracelets that say, what would you do? And the you is the you that you want to be. The one that's improved upon where you want to go now. With the assumption, right, that you're not perfect right now. Generally speaking, people want to improve in some aspect, right? There's no such thing as no more growth, right? You're always growing and improving. Does that make sense? So you just pretend you got this bracelet on that says, what would I do? Right? If I want to stop smoking or stop drinking or something like that, I put down my bracelet, oh, what would I do? Well, I used to smoke, so I'm not a smoker now, which means that I'm not going to go buy cigarettes or not drink or whatever, right? So improvements in that will actually improve your energy and vitality from that. Because then, how do you feel when you know that you've made progress? You could argue that progress is happiness, right? I can tell you from looking at the roads that are under construction, when I see progress, I feel happy. I'm frustrated that there's still a bunch of orange barrels, but I feel happy. How do you feel when you see a bunch of orange barrels and no one's been working on the road for the past week? You're not so happy. Same traffic issues, but you're not seeing any progress. It's the same thing with your mind. If you're not seeing growth and progress, it'll bring you down. So you want to improve, even incrementally, right? Even if it's just snapping your fingers. You want to see that progress. So we went through the how do you know if someone loves you? How do you feel when something happy, magical, awesome, frustrating, whatever happens? Another exercise, we're going to write down your 5 most common feelings. Whether that's happiness, sadness, anger, depression, anxiety, frustration, whatever they are. Top 5 that you most commonly feel. How do you feel when something blank happens? It's 9:30, here we go. So we got 50 cents. Are you guys cool?
Yeah.
Hanging out? You guys cool?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, so how'd you do with those top 5? Was it tough to do? A little bit? Some of the first 2 are easy, and then you're like, wait a second. Then all of a sudden you're like, frustrated. Overwhelmed. Alright, quick high five. 5 seconds. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. Alright. Alright, so we're going to go through this really quick. We're going to say, what does this lack of energy cost you? When you're feeling depressed or down or just not motivated, right? What does that cost you in time, money, and effort? Low energy is costing you money, right? That's safe to say. It's costing you freedom, right? You can't do everything that you want to do. It's costing you some success, however you define that. And it's costing you fulfillment. Fulfillment is a big deal, right? And generally speaking, overall, your happiness. Knowing that you could do better than you're giving yourself access to. Does that make sense? Alright, so what do you do now that you know drains your energy? That you're positive, you know it does, but you still do it. There's probably a couple things, right? Every once in a while you walk past a Swiss cake roll and you're like, it's pretty good. For a moment you feel good, then you're like, not so good. So if we know what it costs, why don't we fix it? There's a lot of people that just won't fix it, right? Even though they know, I know I should do this, I just don't. How many people have you ever talked to that like, they know they need to solve the problem, they know how to solve the problem, they just don't. We're going to make this a better question. What will you do to fix it? What is the presupposition here? That you will. Thank you. Now what will you do now to fix it? What is the presupposition here? That you will fix it now. Perfect. So sometimes we need to define why we're going to fix it. Because this is what everything's going to be based on. This is your foundation, the reason why. Some people are like, oh, I shouldn't smoke, right? I use that as an example because it's easy. But why shouldn't you smoke, right? Smoking's pretty calming. Take some deep breaths. You got some cool people that are all depressed that you can hang out with. Right? You know, maybe you're not spending money on lottery tickets or whatever. Right? You want to figure out why you want to have all this energy and vibrancy. You really need to change. You really want to change. How about some more reasons? I tell people, think about all the people, your relatives, your friends, all the people that existed before you. I tell you, you are essentially climbing on top of their shoulders. This is a statue that they have at the Hoover Dam. like these guys are crazy, right? I forget exactly how many people died in the Hoover Dam, but it was just bizarre, intense. They built the Hoover Dam in 5 years. And I want to say 1930s, right? That's 5 years. They've been working on my road for over a year. Have you ever gone to Chicago and looked at the interstate? Like, they built the Hoover Dam in 5 years, right? Without cranes or computers. We can't make a paved road in less than that, right? It's bizarre. Anyways, like, look at this guy, right? He's got a rope, he's got a stake, he's got this little wooden thing that he's sitting on. Totally safe, right? What could happen? And in exchange, you go to Las Vegas and you have power. And yet, are there sad people in Las Vegas? Maybe understandably so if they made some bad decisions, right? Just like I tried the craps table, it didn't work. Anyways, my point is, I think of all the people in the past that had to do stuff, right? They got things like running water, electricity. They built this building, right? They designed this building. You know what? There's so much stuff, right? You think of all the health food, or like somebody mowed the lawn. Think of all the stuff even present and past. They set everything up for you. They set up everything up for my kid to have an ice cream cone. He was still sad. Like, if he would have realized what people had to do to make that ice cream cone, to get that ice cream cone, to be able to pay for that ice cream cone, all that stuff to build up, do you think that he'd be sad anymore if he was of the intellect to actually understand that? I'm not sure he could get that at 3. He's like, what'd you go with, Dan? What's the name? There's also sacrifice, right? I always joke with people, it wasn't on Apollo 1 that they made it to the moon. It's Apollo 11, right? So a few people lost their lives, a few engineers probably lost their jobs. There were some frustrating times, right? Do you think the plan was, hey, we'll take 11 ships to figure this out? Probably not. Probably figured it'd take a couple. It blows my mind that they figured out what they figured out, when they figured it out. I just read the biography, essentially, of the moon landing, right? So it was mostly Neil Armstrong. And they overshot where they're going to land by 4 miles, even though they're going like over 12,000 miles an hour. Which I'm like, is that like a billionth of a second? Just like, stop. It was bizarre. Like, the stuff that they had to do for that was just intense. And all these people did this sacrifice, right? And you're just like, I don't feel up to it. I don't feel up like making those phone calls or applying for that job and whatever it is.
So, like, just put it in perspective for being like your wife, you're 5 minutes late, right? It's the same thing on an
I heard the intensity, yep.
Right.
Smiles! Speed! Did you guys ever watch Star Wars or Star Trek or some spacey show? In any of these space science fiction movies, they always have some way to go at light speed or figure out the transportation thing, right? And has anyone gone over 100 miles an hour in a car? On a motorcycle? How intense is it going over 100 miles an hour? It's like, But we're in this movie, and they're going light speed, they're just walking around talking to each other. Right? They're just like nothing's going on, right? The computer's got it figured out, we're good. So my point in saying that is sometimes when you feel like you're going super intense, you're going 110 miles an hour. When if you went faster, just exponentially faster, it would be comfortable. Does that make sense? So sometimes people are like, I can't go light speed. Like, do you really believe that? And this is figurative, right? I still haven't figured out how to go light speed. But my point is that sometimes when you feel like you're going as fast as you possibly can, you can go 10 times faster and it'll be easier. Does that make sense? All right. Time, let's joke with people, right? Time will go on forever. You will not, which is why choices are important, right? Things like having more energy and intensity and getting more stuff done in less amount of time, that'll help you, presuming that you're doing the right things, right? As best you can. Just as best you can. Control what you can control. Jim Rohn, I like Jim Rohn. You guys a Jim Rohn fan? The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. For example, we come back to smoking, or eating, or drinking, or things like that. It is super easy to eat cake. It is also super easy not to eat cake. Does that make sense? Unless it's really good cake. All right, last exercise, I want you to write down why you want and need more energy. We'll just do this really quick. Just think of reasons why you want. There had to be a reason why you came here. Presumably it wasn't for the coffee or graham crackers that they had. It was for the coffee. I just love their coffee. Time goes fast. That's right. Then I want you to write down why you will do whatever it takes to get that energy. You figured out your reasons why you want that energy. Now why will you do what it takes? Because every once in a while you're going to come up with these challenges, right? You're going to have a solid reason why, but you're still going to come up with these challenges. And sometimes the more you push, the more challenges are going to come up. It's kind of like the more money, more problems thing, but it's like sometimes more energy, more problems, more happiness, more problems. You could argue more sadness, more problems, right? They're going to become challenges. You want to define why are you going to overcome those challenges. This presupposes that you are going to overcome them. Cool? How does that make you guys feel? Feel strong, powerful, ready to take on the world? Let's go to the Capitol, just lift it up. Cool? Alright. Now we get really quick, 5 high fives in 5 seconds while smiling. Boom! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom! Alright.
I'm glad we can work time like that.
Woo, that's right.
It catches up with us.
Alright, so how do you guys feel?
Good.
You guys like this? What do you think is going to happen at 2 p.m. when you snap your fingers? Do you think you'll notice that you're snapping your fingers at 2 p.m.? Are you going to be like, my goodness, why am I snapping my fingers at 2 p.m.? What if I told you guys not to snap your fingers at 2 p.m.? Whatever you do today, do not snap your fingers at 2 p.m. Don't snap your fingers at 2 p.m., right? Cool, okay, so thank you guys, you rock. I always like to end with a presentation, question, or an answer from Alex or Brett. So this presentation, A, B, C, or D, right? What's the best thing you did today? So, this is me. My name is James Kidman, drawing customers at business coaching. I also have a couple books. I got the Bold Business book, so if you're thinking about going into business, or you are in business, and you want to be a little bit more bold, this is my book. Also, this one, I'm really proud of, right? This one has words. This one has fewer words. But in the end, it says, don't get the word. So all these books you can find on Amazon if you're interested in them. Outside of that, if you have any questions, I can hang out for a couple minutes. You guys got my business card? Oh, I forgot to pass out this. This is the little email sign-up sheet. I get another little email with a bunch of tips so you can get more energized. And clearly I could not fit in here because I talk too much. So, do you guys have any questions?
I have two. Will you go back one slide?
Absolutely.
And then, I didn't really get the part about speed.
Oh, speed?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're going on the highway, right, you feel like you're going fast, they raise the speed limit now so everybody goes 80 miles an hour or whatever. And it feels, sometimes when you go outside your comfort zone, like say 100, 110, 120 miles an hour, the world is going by so fast that it's tough to concentrate, right? You feel like you can get in an accident. What would it really take for you to have a problem? It's tough, right? So it's challenging. When you go light speed, which is essentially infinitely faster, when you look at the movies and stuff like that, it's smoother. So the rule is, Larry, slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Okay. Is this like go slow to go fast?
Kind of. I like to do, so it's a combination of focus and speed. So I find that I can get more done over the course of time if I'm only focusing on a fewer things instead of trying to get 100 different things done in a day, every day, right? You come up with your to-do list and like, you could write an endless to-do list, right? But what if you only wrote down 3 things on that to-do list every day? And what if you branched it out, so instead of all these things, it was business stuff, home stuff, relationship stuff, and you just knew? Doing stuff like that, there will be certain things that fall through the cracks. I'm not saying that, but overall, you will get much more done because you're concentrating on the important things. And people always ask me, they say, how do you get so much done? Right? And I'm like, well, I do the important things. I don't dig around with some of the things that are not important. That before, I used to think I have to do this.
Thank you.
Yep. I got a whole training on, like for example, email inboxes and how people get overwhelmed, right? I talked to one guy, he had 15,000 emails in his inbox. He's like, I'll get to them someday. Oh, you totally will not get to them someday. 15,000 emails?
No, that's why you get an email address. It's terrible.
It's one option. One option. Cool. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Just remember, don't say everything until you feel energized, right?
Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great session.